And okay, cool. We're gonna start standing today. We're gonna do some stuff we probably haven't done in class before, but it'll be fun. And if there's anything that's a little too challenging, just make it easier for you. The first thing I want to do is put our back to the wall and make sure you don't have socks on, or you're not gonna slip, or you're gonna walk your feet out. Maybe 2 or 3 feet. Not like super far. Your ankles should be in front of your knees and your hips should be well above your knees. It shouldn't be very difficult. And then you're going to press your lower back into the wall, kind of rounding your hips under. Let your shoulders slump a little bit and keep your big toes pressed down and make sure your knees are pointing at your outside 3 toes. Just take some exceedingly deep breaths, focusing on exhaling all the way when you breathe out, drawing your belly button in, pressing your lower back into the wall, opening it up. And we're going to stay for like 3 more of our deepest breaths. And then place your hands on the wall next to you and lean forward enough to push yourself so that you can stand up. And then put yourself pretty flat on the wall. Try to touch it with your heels and your hips and your shoulders. And if that isn't working for you on a comfort level, you can bring your feet a little bit further away until it does work. And then we're going to put our thumbs on the wall and all of our fingers and our elbows, but maybe not our head. Don't force it to be on the wall. And we're just going to take some deep breaths. Okay, and then bring your hands up, make a thumbs down, gentle thumbs down, and place your knuckles on your temples. Roll your knuckles gently on your temples and bring your elbows forward as far as they're willing to go, possibly to touch. And then open them up, inhaling. Trying to keep your shoulders and your hips on the wall. We'll do like 3 more. And then let your arms relax and let's step off the wall. And we're going to stand with our big toes all the way touching. And then turn your heels out an amount that works for you. It might be a little, it might be a lot. And then when you get there, your knees are going to be a little bent. I want you to try and straighten them. and then squeeze your butt a little bit. And it might not feel like you can do both, but try to do both. And if it's a little intense for your knees, doesn't feel good, you can bring your toes apart until it is working for you and just stand with your legs tight and your butt squeezed. If you're feeling fine here, you can add to it. You can put your hands out to the side. You can reach up a little bit higher than your shoulders, and then bend your elbows and bring your hands behind your head without touching your head or your other hand, keeping your legs tight and your butt squeezed and your big toes pressed down. And then let's relax our arms, and we'll relax our feet. And then I want us to turn around and put our hands on the wall, just a little bit higher than your shoulders. And then take one pretty big step back, not huge. And any amount, drop your chest and push your hips out behind you. And that's going to create extension in your spine. It's going to open up your shoulders and your chest. And it's also going to stretch your hamstrings and your hips and challenge the position of your pelvis. Just take some deep breaths. And if you need it to be easier, you can bring your hands further up the wall, or don't push your hips quite so hard behind you. And then begin to bring yourself back to a regular standing. Keep your hands on the wall. Put your hands directly in front of your shoulders. Try to straighten your arms and spread your fingers. Try to stand directly over your feet so you're not leaning into the wall. And then you're going to turn your elbows up to the side and then down and in. And you want to avoid turning up so hard that your shoulders start to rise up to your ears. And you can turn down and in as much as you want. But don't move your fingers or turn your hands. And do try to keep your shoulder blades close together, sticking out your chest, standing up tall. And we're going to work on this one for a minute. I want to get more than 20 repetitions. Okay. And now take your right hand from the wall and stand with your left hand directly out to the side. And just rest your palm on the wall with your arms straight. And depending on your body, this could be a very intense position. If it is, just try and leave your hand there and take some deep breaths. If it feels okay, then start to try and drop and relax your shoulder. Check in with your stance and make sure your body's not rotating, because your body may try and resist this position. The position is just stretching your nerves of your arm from your fingertips out to your shoulder. And we're going to give it 2 minutes to see if it can relax. Just take some deep breaths. And for those of you guys that got in here after I said hello, in contrast to last week, I'm feeling significantly better. Look, I can turn my head almost all the way. And I want today to be a little bit more invigorating. Obviously, we're standing. I don't think we've ever started class standing yet. Check in with your arm. Are your hands as flat as they can be? Is your arm as straight as it can be? Is your shoulder as relaxed as it can be? We'll take a few more deep breaths. Okay, and then relax your arm, shake it a little bit if you want. And then we're going to turn and put our right arm on the wall. Trying to make your hand as flat as possible, with your arm as straight as possible. Not letting your body rotate, your shoulders or your hips, keeping a little bit of big toe pressure, keeping your glutes tight, letting your arm and shoulder just relax. And if it feels pretty good, I forgot to say this last time, no big deal. You can turn your elbow up and down a little bit, but obviously, if it's really intense, you probably don't have to and don't want to do that. I'll take a few more deep breaths. I was snickering. You can let your arm relax because today at work, one of the other therapists told me that he looked up what Bosu means, like a Bosu ball. We're going to lean against the wall. You can put your feet out a little bit so it's a little bit easier, because we're going to do something a little challenging with our shoulders. We're going to put all of our fingers on the wall, And we're going to slide our hands up any amount. Trying to keep your hips and shoulders on the wall, and then slide them back down. And we'll just work on that for a minute with our breath. Anyways, BOSU stands for Bionic Oscillating Stabilization Unit. And then we have our notes, because we do notes for insurance companies, right? For the therapy we do. And we came up with an awesome macro button that sounds super fancy, and it says used bionic oscillating stabilization unit for, and I coined this term today, vestibular acuity training, and some other stuff. But we were just very pleased with ourselves, and that's what I was snickering about. Okay, that's good. Is everyone doing okay? If you're not doing okay, like, unmute yourself and say something. I think we're probably all fine now. Okay, good. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna face the wall again, place our hands high, and we're gonna stagger our stance. Now, if it's a big deal for you to have your feet in one line, you can keep your feet apart. But if you can, put your feet in one line. And now, the wider apart your feet are from each other, the more intense it's going to be. So if you want a light stretch, put your feet close together and put your hips further from the wall. And if you want a big stretch, put one foot closer to the wall, put your feet further apart. Place your hands up high, but as high as you can reach comfortably. And then just lean forward, keep both legs straight. Drop your chest towards the wall. And take some deep breaths. And I'm going to describe some stuff you can do to get deeper into the stretch. And just remember that you should only do the things that are comfortable for you. Anyways, we're going to press our big toes down. Look for the weight of our body to the insides of our feet. Tighten our legs. Try to even your hips. And that's probably going to mean drawing your front leg hip back a little bit. So for me, it's my left. I'll roll my hip to the back to the left a little. And then you can drop your shoulders away from your ears a little bit, and that might allow you to drop closer to the wall. Okay, and then just slide your hands down to kind of create some space so you're not leaning so much. And then we're going to switch which foot is in front. Press your big toes down, tighten your legs, and put your hands about as high up as you can reach. And then lean your chest in towards the wall with straight legs. And then optionally, pressing through the insides of the feet, tightening the legs, tilting the hips, drawing the right hip back or the hip of your front leg, dropping your shoulders. And then slide your hands down. Step your feet into a regular stance and place your backs to the wall. I'm going to go a little bit wider than we were before. Look for the ground with your heels and your hips. And we're going to come back to this position with our knuckles on our temples and our elbows on the wall. And I want you to try and squeeze your glutes a little bit, press your big toes down, and then any amount, lean over to one side, but keep your hips right where they are. And then lean back over to the other side. And you can go as far as you can go comfortably with your hips locked in place on the wall. But it's really more about keeping your hips still than anything else. The distance that you're sliding back and forth is unimportant. Okay, that's probably good. Before we do something more relaxing, see if you can get your strap. And I want you to take your strap and put one hand through it. And then flip it around. Don't get it stuck on your elbow. And pull the strap up over your opposite shoulder. And for you, you know, your comfort level for your shoulder might be down by your hip, or it might literally be on the back of your opposite shoulder. Whatever is comfortable for you, that works. You want to be able to stand with your core braced up nice and tall. You don't want to, you know, arch or do something weird so it feels like you're getting more out of your shoulder. You want to maintain a good position and just find a good spot where you're getting a gentle, comfortable stretch. And then we're going to take a couple stances while we work on this. The first one is a V stance. So you're going to stand with your heels together and your toes out a little bit. And then I want you to squeeze your butt and try to tuck your hips down in the back a little bit, like you're I used to have a really cool word for that, but I forgot it right now. And roll your knees to the side just a little bit. They're very, very slightly bent. And then we'll give our feet a break. Let's try this. This is kind of subtle, but I like to do it a lot. You may not be able to see very well, but press your big toes down and kind of roll your ankle to the inside. And that should be pretty easy, but then roll it to the outside a little bit extra. And your knee shouldn't really have to bend. You should be able to do this all with your foot and your ankle. And it'll really work on the muscles through your arch and the inside of your calf. If you get a little cramp, you can either take a break or you can work through it and wait for the cramp to resolve itself. Let's go ahead and switch hands. We're going to undo our first hand and kind of like wave it around in a circle. Maybe do some in both directions. And then we're going to take our strap and put our opposite hand through it. And then flip it around without getting it stuck on our elbow. And then make sure we can stand nice and straight without compensating with our ribs. And let's take the inside stance again for a moment. Pressing our toes down, tightening our legs, squeezing our butt. Okay. And then make your feet straight again. We're going to do the same thing with our ankles. Pressing our big toe down, rolling the ankle in, rolling the ankle to the outside. Real gentle, controlled. Okay, that's good. Okay, let's undo our strap from our hand and let's make our way to the floor. And then we'll put our strap right back on over both of our legs in the usual way. Possibly giving it an extra wrap. And we'll put our hands out to the sides with our palms up. And just for fun, I'm going to turn my big toes in to touch. And since we just did so much work, we're just going to rest for a couple minutes, focusing on our breath. Okay. Now open up your hands. All the backs of your fingers touching the ground. And as you exhale, for the whole exhale, press all of your fingers, your hands, your wrists, forearms, elbows, and shoulders into the ground. And when you inhale, do nothing. And then give your arms a break and make your feet straight if they're not. And then as you exhale, press out on your strap. And as you inhale, do nothing. And as long as you can keep your big toes pressed down and you're not using your back or tightening your stomach, you can press as hard as you want or as soft as you want. I'm going to do some extra long ones today. And then give your legs a rest. And bring your hands up. Interlacing your fingers, pressing your palms together and tightening your elbows. And bring your arms back behind your head. Inhaling. And then exhaling and bringing your arms back up over your chest. I'm going to do this one between 20 and 30 times, depending on your pace. Oh, I'm gonna do it a few extra times because I think my pelvic floor or something is all cramped up. Some super cool stuff's probably happening to my muscle. Okay, two more times. Oh, okay. And then let's flip our strap off. And grab your pillow or block and place it between your legs. And then keep your big toes pressed down and squeeze in on your block. And then relax. Do it a couple more times. Wow. Okay, and then set your pillow beside you. And then let's cross our right ankle over onto our left thigh. And we'll work on some foot landing. Keeping our hips set evenly, rolling our hips forward just a little bit, setting some tension through the hip. Putting our hands out, palms up, and foot landing. So during that last maybe like 10 minutes or so, felt like my ribs were moving around and stuff. My spine will shift sometimes. But I was getting all those cramps I mentioned. And now, just now, I can basically turn my head in a 100% range of motion after all those little changes happened. I haven't been able to do that very well at all for 10 days. Switch directions with your foot. And then unbind your foot and put your other ankle on your other thigh. And then begin winding that foot. Oh yeah, take a second to make sure your hips are even. Mine weren't very even. And then roll your hips forward just a little bit to make a small arch in your back. Press your knee away for some tension. And then do your foot winding. And oh yeah, we have to switch directions, huh? Switch directions. Okay, now unbind that ankle. And let's bring the bottoms of our feet all the way together. And our knees rest out to the sides. Ooh, that's tight. Okay, now take your hands up like we did earlier, but instead of going forward and backward, we're going to go side to side. So you're going to pull your top straight arm across your body, bending your elbow so that it doesn't touch the ground. And then bring your arms back straight, and then keep the opposite one straight, bending and coming back. The pulling elbow shouldn't ever touch the ground. Don't pull your shoulder all the way around your body though. Try to keep your shoulders seated so you're kind of stretching your armpit, shoulder capsule. Don't pull any harder than your comfort. And take a break, and let's put our hands up in like a goalpost position. And see if you can slide your fingertips towards each other above your head, keeping your elbows bent. And then open them back up. And just go back and forth. Then take a little break. Let's bring the bottoms of our feet back to the ground, and then we'll straighten our legs out. Let's get our strap again. And this time we're going to do something that I don't think we've ever done before. Together, we're going to put our arms through the strap just above our elbows. And you should have it should probably be just about your shoulder width anyway. But check it out. You don't want it a whole lot thinner than or wider than your shoulders where your arms are stuck together. But whatever you got, point your elbows up and press out on the strap a little bit, allowing your shoulder blades to kind of come together under you. Inhale, relax. Exhale, press a little bit. And then see if you can make your strap a little bit bigger, not way bigger, maybe 15%. So your elbows point out a little bit. That's good enough. And then we're going to do the same thing. Okay, now I want you to press out. You don't have to press out super hard, but just keep pressing out. And we're going to take 5 or 6 of our deepest breaths. Okay, that's good. And we'll set our strap beside us. We're going to make our feet extra wide with knees bent. We're going to roll our knees all the way over to one side, letting them settle, and then rolling them back up very gently and over to the opposite side. And then straighten your legs out and turn your toes out to the side and try and squeeze your glutes all the way. Squeeze them for 3 to 5 seconds and then relax. In slow motion, relax. And we're just going to do that. I want to spend a few minutes working on that. I'm very pleased to let you guys know that my butt squeezing techniques are so celebrated at the chiropractic clinic that one of my new patients claims that she's going to print me a shirt with a screen printer at her work that says, "Don't forget to squeeze your butt." And I'm pretty excited about that because I tell all my patients to squeeze their butts every day. Don't forget. And there's another therapist, her name's Emily. She complains about her back hurting, but she won't lay down and squeeze her butt. So every time someone squeezes their butt and they feel significantly better, I say, "Hey, Emily, you hear that? So and so had their back hurting, they squeezed their butt, now they're better." She still hasn't squeezed her butt though, but she will eventually. Oh, okay, and now it's time for Shavasana. So we're just going to lay real still, be quiet with ourselves. Okay, let's start to stir. Wipe your eyes. Rub your temple. Oh, this is fun. I do this in my Qigong class online. You rub your hands together and make them warm. And then you put your hands over your eyes. And then you feel refreshed. And you're more than welcome to stay lying down. Or you can do whatever you need to do and make your way to a seated position. And I'm just so happy that you could all come spend this time with me working on our bodies and our posture.